sicko, misanthropic moron, freak of nature, bona fide racist. Larry David has been called a lot of names, most of which can't be printed here, over the course of Curb Your Enthusiasm's 8 seasons. But few have recognized Larry for what he really is, a great moral philosopher who is able to identify and illuminate the codes that dictate our daily interactions with other humans. Can't introduce the world to the theory of the categorical imperative, Larry, the chat and cut. Yes, Larry, the fictionalized version of real-life writer and creator Larry David, has a preoccupation with trivial slights. And he's done some selfish and unforgivable things in his time. He got his friend's child drunk and stole her beloved dog. He hung up on his panicked wife, calling from a turbulent airplane, because he was more interested in fixing the TiVo. Then there's his rampant disregard for political correctness. Like a liberal Donald Trump, he is beloved by fans not in spite of his capacity for insulting women, religious minorities, people of color, the LGBTQ community and the disabled, but because of it. In the 9th season, premiering Sunday on HBO after a 6-year hiatus, Larry is as incendiary as ever, stomping like a drunken elephant through a minefield of taboos. But while Larry remains brilliant at making us cringe, his greatest unsung talent is forcing us to question our basic assumptions, from the unspoken rules of mundane social interactions to more existential questions of identity and belief. In his boundless ability to provoke and offend, Larry may also be pop culture's foremost ethicist. Like Seinfeld, co-created by David, Curb Your Enthusiasm is, on its surface, a show that portrays the ridiculous predicaments and trivial grievances of an otherwise very fortunate character. But beneath all that nothing is some real substance. The semi-improvised sitcom grapples with real-world dilemmas like the morality of public shaming, the massage, the conflict between medicine and belief, the Benadryl brownie, and one's obligation to community in an emergency, the terrorist attack. A season-long arc followed Larry as he wrestled with whether to donate a kidney to his friend Richard Lewis. The show has even inspired a collection of essays, Curb Your Enthusiasm and Philosophy, Awaken the Social Assassin Within. Editor Mark Rolkowski, also an associate professor at George Washington University, calls Larry a great observer of culture, a great describer, arguing that his apparent disdain for etiquette is really about rejecting phoniness. He's making all of these observations of our everydayness, Rolkowski adds. He's showing us that they are contingent, they are unnecessary. He also exposes hypocrisy and a lot of the pretending that we do. And while Larry is not someone you'd describe as virtuous, he does adhere strongly to his own set of principles, and is appalled when others defy rules that might be obvious only to him. As his exasperated wife Cheryl Hines, puts it in Season 2's Trick or Treat episode, "Not everybody knows your rules, Larry. You've got your own set of rules and you think everybody's going to adhere to them, but they're not because nobody knows them." Larry's harping serves a grander purpose, according to writer-director-producer Jeff Schaffer. Especially in these times where everyone is worried about the big things, and rightly so, he says, someone has to take care of the little things. Someone has to be the champion of the petty indignities and the minutiae, and Larry's our guy. Yet many, perhaps most, of Larry's rules are perfectly reasonable. Consider his refusal to give candy to teenagers trick-or-treating out of costume, or his anger at Christians later for pigging out on the caviar at Mary Steenburgen's anniversary party. We have unwritten laws in society, Larry says. You're each entitled to take a certain amount so everybody else can have a little too. And who could argue with that? He may be a tactless, indelicate grump, but, to borrow a slogan from Barry Goldwater, in your heart, you know he's right. Where Larry differs from most of us is his willingness to call out such behavior, no matter the context or potential fallout, a trait that inspires his pal Jeff Garlin, to describe him as a social assassin. He has no bedside manner, says Susie Essman, who plays the gleefully foul-mouthed Susie Green, a character whose values often clash with Larry's. But he's frequently right. You don't take up 2 parking spots. You don't stand in line at Baskin-Robbins and sample 15 different things when there's a line behind you. He is very concerned with justice. That's not to say that Larry is an inflexible stickler. Quite the opposite. As Rebecca Williams, an assistant professor at Minnesota State University, Mankato, explains, he has no time for rules that he thinks are lacking in justification. Larry happily defies what he sees as arbitrary,